Okay, so I've never really used my voice in videos before, but here we go, I guess. This is how Travis Scott's No Bystanders was made, and so first off, for the first part, the song samples a song called Yoga by Bjork, and it originally sounds like this. So we're gonna be taking the first part of the song, and actually, a fact that I realized only after like remaking the song is that there are two versions of the song. I sampled the 3 minute version of the song, which is just the version that was released on YouTube, but there's a 5 minute version that's the album version, and that's the version they sampled, and there are various clips that they sampled here. So for the first part of the song, they just took it, pitched it up 2 semitones, and reversed it here. So it's gonna sound like this with like zero effects. Uh, they also swapped this. They also the 5 minute version of the song already has the stereo swapped, so it's not like I had to swap it for this, but it's still like the same melody. Anyways, we're gonna be reversing it and then adding on a few effects. So first off, we're adding 3D course, and this is just a default preset. It doesn't really do anything special. It just makes it kind of a bit um, more spread out in the headphones. And then they added on halftime, which basically just half times it a little bit, and they brought down the mix to 75%, and some EQ. It's cutting out the low end and boosting a little bit of the high end, and another EQ just to boost the high end that a little bit extra, and also just to make it sound more like the mastered song. So with those effects on, it'll kind of sound kind of like this. And they actually used the second half of the sample with like the different take on the melody, so it sounds kind of like this. Yeah, and so in the context of the song, it'll sound like this. And then when we get into the drop, it'll unreverse itself, so it'll sound kind of like this. Again, the same effects as before, it's just unreversed. And then, interestingly, we have another chop here, which comes from later on in the song, at like 1 minute in, like when it breaks down into this whole part. They're pitching it down one semitone, like as so, and then they're adding on just an EQ that cuts out some of the low end and a bit of the high end, so it sounds kind of like this in the song. And it chops to this whole bit and then like kind of just inserted it here because it kind of like fades away here and they just wanted to keep on looping it. They probably used a 3D slicer, but I didn't really think about that at the time of making this, so it sounds kind of like shit, I don't know. But yeah, if it hadn't looped it would just sound like this. So adding that little chop there just makes it loop a bit nicer. And then we have another part of the song. Um, it's actually a section that was not in the version of the song that I sampled initially, and it's part of the album version, and it initially sounded like this. It's the wrong, it's the wrong mixer track. That part right there is what they sampled. Let me try and find. Oh wait, what was it? It was right there, I think. So they pitched it up by 2 semitones like the song, of course, and then just kind of played it in the context. They kind of played it in the context of everything else, so it altogether sounds kind of like this. So it acts as kind of like a little drum break to fill in like the gaps. And then we have this whistle sound, which comes from Omnisphere. If it'll even load, that is. It's the psychopathic whistle preset, and we're turning off the glide into solo just to make sure it kind of just like doesn't glide all over the place. But on its own, it sounds kind of like this. And there's not really a lot of effects to it. It's just some chorus and some reverb, and just to make it fill in the space a bit more. So, and it plays a few times throughout the song, but that's about it. Oh, and also this chop right here, it also plays an octave higher in a few parts of the songs, such as here, which makes the kick sound kind of a bit more like a tom, I guess, and I didn't really realize it until I tried it. Um, Another synth which is in the song, you probably didn't even notice it, but I used Synthmaster 2 Player. I don't think it's the exact preset, but it sounds very similar to the original song, and again, you probably wouldn't have even noticed it until you listened to like the official instrumental, which is probably a little bit more obvious, but it sounds like this on its own. No effects on it. We're just turning down the stereo separation, so it's like a little bit in mono. Um, and from there we get to the 808, which is kind of a complicated pattern, and it plays like three patterns throughout the whole song. So it sounds like this by itself. Yeah, it sounds pretty dope. So um, this 808 has kind of a lot of effects on it, but some of it is just to make it kind of sound a bit more mastered, like the final song. So I just put on an original beat. It kind of has a sliding down effect. Some people just put in slide notes, but I didn't think that it kind of slid down correctly with like a slide note. So we're adding glitch 2, and it's just a little tape stop thing at the end of each beat bar. So it slows down 1/3, and then it just like picks back up. And my evidence for it not being like a slide note or anything is it kind of just like if you pay attention to the song and want to be kind of like pedantic, it kind of just like snaps back in place. Like what I mean by snapping back in place is that it'll go down, but then it'll come right back up like immediately, as if it's just kind of like being kind of like slid down by like a crow's feet or something similar to that. It plays two other patterns, and this is what they both sound like. I'll turn on the metronome so you can hear it in context. And here's the other one. And there's also another melody layer that I didn't mention initially. Um, it's just that one portion from the start of the sample, but instead of pitching it up two semitones, we're actually pitching it up two octaves. So it's pitched up here, an octave here, and then two semitones here. But then I set the root note to C4, so it would actually sound like it was being pitched up by an octave. And the effects on this one are some Echo Boy to make it kind of swish around in your headphones, some chorus, again, default preset, and then an EQ to cut out a lot of the low end and mids and so cut out some of the highs. And in the context of the song, it sounds like this. it's just there to add some like Heinz texture to it, and that's about it. And then from there we actually get to the drums. So for the kick, um it's this kick's 9. It's just like the regular drill kick, but it's just kind of like modded a little bit. If you pay attention to the waveform to the original song, it's kind of just like cut off like here, and then there's like a bit of the high end rolled off, and it plays this pattern. Again, it sounds a little bit different because I tried to master it a little bit and make it a bit more faithful to the original song. There's EQ, which actually does nothing, so I'm just gonna remove that. I added a soft clipper just to make sure, like, it kind of like had that muffled-ish sound, like with the EQ that I applied to it, which is just kind of cutting out the lows like the original master. You can see it plays like a little bit of a different note on this double hit, and it does that a few times. And this duplicate kick is actually just like the same kick, but it has a little bit of attack like the original song because it kind of just like might kind of cut it from the stems like that, and so it just sounds kind of odd. Um, yeah, there's a few patterns that it plays, and then from there we get to the actual drums, and I think this is where things start to get a little bit spicy. Yeah, this is just the main drums. And for the hat, we're using this Doro ice cream paint job hi-hat. It's the same one that Wonder Girl used, and she just turned up the out knob, and no fucks on that. It plays a little roll here, and yeah, there's nothing on that. It's just basic little hat that kind of just plays a simple pattern. I couldn't find the exact snare. If anyone has it, please let me know, and I'll kind of just make an update with that snare. But for the snare, we have this snare that I just cut from the song. It's probably just layered, but I have no idea what layers it has. It's kind of lame, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then for the open hat, we have this little Lex hat that Aiden also used. It's also pitched down by 3 semitones, and it's panned a little bit to the right, so it's playing right in the center. And then when we get to the refrain with Juice World, um, we have this additional melody layer that's coming in, and yeah, it sounds like this, which is actually just a render of this part of the melody. But instead, we're taking it up an octave, and it's kind of giving it a bit more of a pitched up, but also warbly kind of effect. That as a result of pitching it up. And we're adding some EQ, just cutting out the lows and boosting up a lot of the mids to highs, and some chorus with the mix turned down a little bit. And something you might not have noticed in the song is just this little part of the melody, which is just the same as the sample. It's just pitched up an octave, and it's just this one part right here. And again, it just has some chorus and EQ on it, just cutting out the lows and raising the mids. And then this another melody that you probably didn't even notice in the song. It's actually from Omnisphere again. I don't think it's quite exact, but I tried to match it as best as I could. If it will load, that is. Come on. Yeah, this is just the Lotus flute, but we're turning off the breathing effects 03 and just turning down the attack, so it kind of just sounds like this. And we're adding a little bit of distortion, some chorus, and some EQ to raise the mids and cut out the lows, and a, tiny bit of the highs. Um, And then when we get into the verse, the drums change up a little bit. So, I mean, it's basically the same, but we're layering in some new drums. So the pattern of those new drums sound kind of just like this on their own. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. So we're using this hi-hat, which was also used in Wake Up, another Astroworld song. Pretty standard hat, no effects on that, but we're pitching it up by 2 semitones, so it's playing at D5 instead of C5. And we're playing it with another hat, which, oh, that's lagging my FL. We're using this big white hi-hat number 7, except we're panning it off to the right, adding some EQ to it, and just raising up the tiniest of high end to kind of just like make it a bit more present. And instead of playing it at C5, we're playing at F sharp 5, and it just kind of plays a role at the beginning of each pattern. The snare, I looked for a little bit to try and find a sound. I thought it was this for the longest time. It's just a basic little 3/6 Mafia snare. Um, but we're playing it at B4 instead of C5, like right here. But it's also layered with this BWB snare, which is the same snare that was used in No Idea by Don Toliver. It's also kind of processed a little bit. I don't think I meant to route that snare to that track. Hmm. Oh, either way, it plays the it sounds like this one combined. And in the in the when in the middle of the verse, we're introducing another flute. I have no idea who added this flute, but it's probably like young Laurie David or something, considering how he's credited. But he's just Travis's manager anyway, so it's not like it matters too much. I feel a load. This one's also the Lotus flute, but it's just got a little bit of reverb on it to kind of just like brighten out the sound, and it's also panned to the left a little bit. Um, these sections just repeat throughout the entire song, and then we cut to this section with just this one part of the sample playing, and that's about it. Um, I didn't want to break down the second beat just because it's really simple, but if you enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more things like this, and I guess I'll see you next time. I guess I'll just let the beat play out. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole beat, to be honest. Like, it's pretty simple, but it has a lot of moving parts to it. And if you want the FLP, I'll maybe leave it in the description if this video gets enough attention. And yeah, see ya.